Hello, guys and gals, lords and ladies, saints and sinners of every kind. Welcome to Rise Up Jerusalem, your Catholic podcast for teens. I'm your host, Connor McLaughlin, and happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, whatever you want to say. It's all good. Jesus is risen. Huzzah. Well, wait, he's not risen. That's Easter. He is born. That was a failure. This episode is starting off so well. Anyways, I want to tell you guys that this week I'm going to be starting something very new. I'm going to be starting a new part of a podcast called Who the Heaven Is That? And it's going to be about different kinds of saints, like who the heaven is, Saint Dominic, who the heaven is, Kiteri Tekakwitha, who the heaven is, Saint Catherine of Siena. And I'll talk about the saints, and yeah, it's gonna be fun. And this is going to actually mark a 2-week thing I'm going to do, which is another first for me. I'm going to talk about something this week, and it's going to relate into next week's topic. I'm going to be talking about St. Juan Diego this week, and then next week I will be talking about Our Lady of Guadalupe and the miraculous image of Our Lady, and just the beauty of the tilma, and how I think that's one of the coolest Marian images of all time. But hey, you guys be the judge of that. I'm not to tell you which Marian image is the best, although just saying that one's my favorite. Yes, I have a favorite Marian image. Don't judge. So anyways, back to the topic, St. Juan Diego. Who the heaven is St. Juan Diego? Well, St. Juan Diego, or as his full name was, Juan Diego Cuauhtlahuatzin, which is indigenous for the eagle that talks, which is a very odd name. He was a native of Mexico around the late 1400s, early 1500s, early to mid 1500s, born in 1474. He and his wife Maria Lucia were among the first people to be baptized after the arrival of 12 Franciscan missionaries that arrived in Mexico in 1524. And his wife died about 2 years before Juan Diego started receiving apparitions. He, however, did have an uncle named Juan Bernardino who was very close to him. And he's a very important person to remember in this, because he plays a part, as you will soon see. So what happened with Juan Diego in Our Lady of Guadalupe? Now, 2 years after his wife died in 1531, Juan Diego was a very firm Catholic. He was a very firm believer. And every single day he would walk from his house to a Franciscan mission, so, basically a church, in Tlatelolco, I think the town is called, Tlatelolco. And he would go past this hill called Tepeyac, Tepeyaac, the hill of Tepeyac. And on December 9th, 1531, walking past the hill of Tepeyac on his daily journey to go to Mass in Tlatelolco at the Franciscan Mission, he spies a woman, okay? And the woman says, "I'm the Mother of God. I want the bishop to build a chapel in my honor." And Juan Diego, being not like the stereotypical any of us, just being like, "Who the hey are you, and why should we give you a church?" And he said, "All right, sounds good." He goes to the Bishop of Mexico City, whose name was Bishop Juan. Everybody was named Juan. I don't understand this. Everybody was named Juan. Well, because Juan is Mexican for John, so I guess that's one of the big Mexican names. I don't know. So he goes to the bishop and says, "Hey, I just saw Mary. She said to build a chapel for her." And the bishop, like any other person, says, "All right, go away. Come back later. Let me think about this a little bit. I got to think about her request. I have to reflect on it. I have to pray about it." Juan Diego's like, all right, sounds good. And so once again, Juan Diego is passing Tepeyac that same day, and he sees Mary again. And Mary says, "How'd it go?" And Juan Diego saying, I don't think it went well. I'm not really that important of a guy. I don't think he's really going to listen to me. And it'd be better if you got somebody else to do it. Like, I'm not that great at doing stuff like this. You should get somebody who's kind of important, like anybody other than me. And Mary was like, "Bro, it's all right. I want you to do it. So you can ask him again." And so December 10th rolls around, Sunday. He goes to the bishop again and says, "Hey, Mary and the chapel and all that stuff, how's that gonna go?" And the bishop was like, I prayed about it, and I feel like, yeah, it would be really good to have a statue to a chapel to Mary, but we really kind of need a sign so that I can say that there was a sign that we did it, because a good feeling isn't really gonna cut it. So I need a sign. And a lot of times people ask Mary for a sign, and most of the time Mary gives them a sign. Cough, cough. Fatima, the sun moving. Cough, cough. Lourdes, healing water. Guadalupe gonna do the exact same thing. Somebody asking for a sign, she gonna give him a sign. So Juan Diego says, all right, fine. I'll go tell Mary you need a sign. So he passes the El Tepeyac, sees Mary again, and says, hey, the bishop says that he kind of needs a sign. And Mary's like, all right, I'll give you one tomorrow. And Juan Diego's like, all right, sounds good. I'll see you tomorrow. Sounds like a plan. So on the next day, this is December 11th now, Juan Diego's uncle, Juan Bernardino, fell sick, and Juan Diego had to tend to him. I told you this guy was going to be important. And so the next day, December 12th, Juan Diego's uncle, he was very sick. He had gotten really sick overnight. And Juan Diego went out to the nearby Franciscan mission to go get a priest to hear his confession and give him the last rites before he died. And so he's rushing past Tepeyac, and he's like, hold on. I don't have time to go and see Mary and deliver the sign for the bishop. So I'm actually going to go this way. Instead of going my normal route, I'm going to go right. And so he's like, I'll go right and nobody will know. So he goes right. And the Virgin Mary sees him and says, where are you going? And Juan Diego's like, all right, I'm so sorry. I have to go and get my uncle. He's sick. I need to go get a priest for him. So that, yeah, I'm sorry. I'll come back. And I'm sorry. I just can't do it. My uncle's sick. I need to get a priest. Like, I just can't do this right now. I cannot to help you out. And Mary's like, shh, it's all right. It's all right. Then she says one of the most famous phrases almost ever, and it's written above the main entrance of the Basilica of Guadalupe. She asks Juan Diego, ¿No estoy yo aquí que soy tu madre? And in English that means, am I not here who am your mother? And that's an absolutely beautiful phrase. I'm going to talk about that next week because it's just gorgeous. Am I not here, I who am your mother? Now she assures Juan Diego, it's all right. Juan Bernardino is now well. He's recovered. And go up to the hill and go pick some flowers. And Juan Diego's like, all right, sounds like a plan, Mary. You're the boss. So he goes up to the top of the hill and he finds a ridiculous amount of flowers in bloom. And by that, I mean, it's winter and there shouldn't be that many flowers in bloom even in Mexico. And there are flowers that shouldn't be growing in winter in Mexico. And the spot up there is mostly rocks where, like, only cactuses grow. And so he's like, all right. Mary said to grab the flowers. I'll go grab the flowers. So he takes his cloak. You know, it's still on his neck. So he uses it as a sack, carries it all up on his stomach, and is just carrying it and brings it down to Mary. All the flowers in it, of course. And Mary, you know, gets the flowers, rearranges them the way she wants because she's a woman and she has the way that she wants her flowers to go. And says, go take these flowers to the bishop. And so Juan Diego says, okay, all right. And so when he gets into the bishop, there's a lot of other people in the room, and he opens his mantle, and the roses, the lilies, the jasmine, the rosemaries, the carnations all fall out. And the bishop and all the people in the room start staring. And Juan Diego was like, yeah, I know, that's weird, right? They're sitting there, like, they shouldn't even be, and it was up on Tepeyac Hill. Tepeyac, would you believe it? Like, that's the one place that has all the rocks, and, like, the really big cactus grow, and then he looks down, and on his cloak is an image of Mary as she appeared to him. Juan Diego goes back to his house and finds that his uncle is completely recovered. And his uncle says, yeah, no, I saw this woman at my bedside, and she told me, you have to tell the bishop about this, and that you were cured miraculously, and that I desired to be known under the title of Our Lady of Guadalupe. So what happens here? Juan Diego, a very innocent peasant, who believes himself not to be worthy by Mary, is given the opportunity by her to become one of the greatest messengers of all time, because he is bringing, just like Mary in her womb carried Jesus, he on his cloak, or it's the native term is called a tilma, on his tilma was carrying an image of the Blessed Virgin Mary. Now, Our Lady of Guadalupe, this image still is in the church that the bishop built in her honor, and millions upon millions flock to it. It's a beautiful thing, and there's been many, many miracles attributed to it. And that's what I'm going to talk about next week. The miracles attributed to Our Lady of Guadalupe, the really amazing facts about the image of Our Lady, and just the beauty of the image on the tilma. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. This is going to be a fun one. Tune in next week because it's going to be even more fun. It's going to have some craziness going on because, trust me, you haven't seen anything until you realize, oh snap, Our Lady of Guadalupe, okay, yeah, she's, standing on a moon, like most Our Ladies. But wait a minute. Are the constellations on her cloak constellations that were actually shining at the right time in Mexico as they would be as in a horizon? Tune in next week to find that out, guys. I'm Connor McLaughlin, and as it was in the beginning, is now and ever shall be, rise up and live.
St. Juan Diego,